All right, guys, welcome to Looking Through the Glass. My name is Giselle. We have Sela, and today we have John Borden, right?
Borden indeed.
Okay, I just want to make sure I said it right. I didn't even check. So I don't even know how to start this off with you because you have quite the story, and you kind of been out there. You've gotten your experience, and I kind of our listeners, would, I'm sure, would love to hear about your story and your journey to now.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that I can share. Do you have a specific place that you'd want to start? Is there anything in particular that you said, "Ooh, that sounds crazy. I want to hear about that."
So we already know that we want to hit on the psychedelics for sure, but what was your journey like before you found that? Because you seem to have found it as a way to help you with your traumas and to get through what you were going through.
Yeah. So you know, the first experience that I had with psychedelics was actually when I was 18, and I tried mushrooms for the first time. It was the day after I quit playing baseball, which up until that point in my life, I was a highly competitive baseball player, and it was essentially my whole personality. And so I had an injury, a shoulder injury that meant that I couldn't throw at the same level I was able to anymore. So I had to quit playing. And the day after I quit my high school baseball team, my girlfriend at the time asked me if I wanted to eat some mushrooms with her and her friends. And if you know anything about psychedelics, set and setting are the two things that are drilled into you from the moment that you start thinking about experimenting with psychedelics. And that's the
Mhm.
mindset that you're in and the physical setting. And the physical setting wasn't great because I was with friends of my girlfriend's who I wasn't really close with, so it isn't exactly people that I could emotionally rely on. The place wasn't great because it was a dark, dingy basement with spider webs and very large mirrors that ended up coming back to haunt me. And
Oh
Oh
my
yeah.
goodness.
Oh my gosh.
and the setting wasn't great because it was the day after I quit my whole personality and life up until that point. And so I had a really dark time staring into a mirror and seeing a 5-year-old version of myself staring back, asking why I quit playing baseball. And I had to break the news to that version of myself. So it was a really heartbreaking time and something that scared me away from mushrooms for the next 11 plus years. I had tried LSD a number of times within that 11-year time frame, including, for the first time about a year after that. And, when I tried LSD, it was a much more grounding experience. I was home with my girlfriend, different girlfriend, and it was just in a very controlled environment. I got to see my cat move and be able to see the emotion on his face as I'm, telepathically communicating with
Hmm.
my eyes. And that kind of like opened up this window for me where I was okay with trying LSD and did, probably 15 more times in the next decade that followed, every time learning something about myself, but not really having the profound experience that I end up having on psilocybin. And, through that decade, going to college, becoming president of my fraternity, coming out and working for Enterprise Rent a Car and being the top performer there for about 4 years straight, and then getting fired from that job, losing the girlfriend that I had when I graduated college, uh, getting laid off during COVID and needing to move to a state, Connecticut, where I didn't know anybody, feeling completely socially isolated and alone. I had an alcohol and cocaine problem that was just gaining steam day by day by day. And, I had lost baseball when I was 18. I had, lost a bunch of my friends when, COVID hit and were stripped away from me. I had lost the social circle that I had at Enterprise Rent a Car. And so, there were all these things that, were conspiring to give me less and less things to do with my time. And I was just like, okay, well, I can drink. I can always get Coke from my dealer. I can always find someone to hook up with off of Tinder or another dating app. And so it was just this like constant loop of perpetuating really, really bad habits. And, I had recognized how bad they were for me. There were a number of times that I had, shared with my mom, hey, mom, I did a month sober from drinking, but then that month would end and I would be back to blacking out multiple times a week. And so, there was a part of me that always wanted to stop and recognized how bad it was, but I wasn't able to actually do anything about it until I found psilocybin about a month and a half before my 30th birthday. And when I did that, it was like all of these changes that I'd wanted to make in my life for years and years and years, whether that's, being less reliant on substances to get through the day or fall asleep at the end of the day because I couldn't even fall asleep without having a drink, or, going out to a bar to eat and just sit down to eat and not have a drink when I'm just sitting down to eat, or, X, Y, and Z, relying on porn, relying on chewing tobacco, all of these things that I wanted to not have be as prominent part of my life, I could finally make those changes on now that the psilocybin was in my brain and operating on those neural pathways and allowing me to choose a new path for myself. And, that's obviously a majorly simplified version of exactly what I went through. But at least gives you the groundwork for where I was and the main things that it helped me to overcome.
Well, it's most certainly very eye-opening. I can see somebody else that I know it like it's almost like I'm seeing their story as well. I'm gonna keep them anonymous, of course, but it's very similar, very traumatic experiences happened, and then he found the psilocybin, and it just opened him up to a world of healing and helped him create the person and become the person and overcome the challenges and the traumas and stuff, like
Mm.
in a very, very profound way. That's one of the reasons why we really wanted you on here.
Well,
Is
that's
because we already seen it with somebody in our own life, and then hearing like it very, very, I mean, different story, but very, very similar, like type of like earth shattering experiences and stuff.
Mhm.
Um,
And
so
that's exactly why I decided to write my book, because when I had this experience, it was so profound to me, and I recognized the incredible turning point that this would be in my life. It's like when I went through the experience, I immediately recognized that my life would be, the John before psilocybin and then the John after psilocybin, and that those two were not going to be anywhere near the same person. But as I spoke to more people and more people, I recognized that speaking to other people who had had experiences with psilocybin, that my experience wasn't unique, right? Like it wasn't something where it's like, oh my God, this total one off of a guy who was able to flip his life around. No, this happens all the time.
Mhm.
But I was
yes.
uniquely talented to be able to write about it and to be able to articulate exactly what happened between my ears during the experience that led to the transformative effects. And, uh, I wrote it hoping to be a voice for people who aren't able to articulate in the same way and have these type of experiences, and hopefully speak for the ability of us all to have the profound type of experience that I had.
I will say that I've had my own experience with LSD itself. I haven't tried anything else. I was
Hmm.
too scared to do the whole mushroom thing, and I was too scared to try the LSD, but everybody was like, you should just try it. And and like you said, you have to have that center of safe space where you're at. I did it at home with my husband, and that was the most freeing feeling I've ever had in my
Hmm.
life. I never felt so free because I'm a stressor. I'm like constantly thinking about the future. What is going to happen here? What is going to happen here? I am a
Hmm.
stressor. So that was the first time in my life I had never stressed about what's going to happen. It was, yes, you're going to sit here and listen to Pink Floyd, and you're gonna sit here and listen to Pink Floyd, and you're gonna sit here and just relax and think about the now, what you're going through right now in this moment. I had a moment of just crying over my aunt
Hmm.
that passed away. I had a moment and I was able to grieve. It was you're gonna cry this out for a second. And it was one of the best experiences I've ever had.
Hmm.
And and this is just an experience thing, and I won't tell anybody they should try it, but it was definitely an experience for me that I never felt, and I would definitely love to feel that again.
It's so incredible because just exactly what you're saying is that there was grief that needed to come out, and there was probably a part of you that felt uh, anxious about letting it come out, whether it was the response that you'd get from your partner or whoever else you're sharing it with, or just the shame of feeling emotion because we're taught to lock away emotion from a young age, you know? And so there's such a big part of us that has been told not to address feelings, not to address things that happened to us in the past. But when you're under the influence of psychedelics like LSD or psilocybin, it becomes something that's inevitable and you just have to face it. And, you know, when people talk about, oh, I don't want to have a bad trip, a lot of times they're talking about those big emotional releases. And those are really the best trips because, yes, while it might be a major emotional release and it might, you know, mean that you're crying for hours upon end, when you step out of that, you're like, oh my God, I'm so free. I don't have to think
You
about
heal.
this thing that's been limiting me anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm,
I mean,
Yeah, it
well,
allows you to actually, sorry, just check.
I didn't get the chance to actually grieve over her because when I found out about her death, I was getting on a plane to fly back from Texas, back to Texas, and then I was in the airport, and then it was I have to go back to my life, and it was I didn't get a chance to actually fully grieve over her, and so it took me 2 years. 2 to 3, yeah, 2 years to finally grieve over her, and it was extremely eye-opening for me. And getting to hear other people's experiences is like, oh, like you said, I'm not one off. There's other people who are actually going through it, healing experiences with it.
hmm Absolutely. You know, my the first time that I tried psilocybin as an adult, uh, there was a grieving period where I cried for basically 4 hours about a girlfriend that we had, you know, broken up 3 years before, but I had never actually sat with the emotions from that relationship. It was just one of those things that, you know, we broke up and then I slept with a girl the next day, and then I just like kept sleeping with girls and sleeping with girls as a way to band-aid over it and not like actually face the emotions that I was dealing with from that. And when I found the psilocybin, that was the biggest thing, you know, right from the jump is just clearing out all the cobwebs from that relationship. And then the second time that I did it, I had, you know, like you were saying, that just moment of peace and clarity where I wasn't overcome by rumination. I wasn't overcome by overthinking for the first time. And it was just this moment where I'm at the river in the center of Tampa, and it's probably, you know, 11:30 midnight. It's just a beautiful clear night and the moon's sparkling off the water and there's kids and families and all this like joy and love. And for one moment I didn't think like, oh my God, what is this person thinking of me as they walk past? It's just, no, I'm just a man sitting here by the water taking in the most beautiful thing I've seen in my entire life. And, you know, what could possibly be wrong about this? I'll worry about the future when it's time to worry about the future, but we're right here, right now, baby.
I
And
love
that's
that.
what that's definitely, that right there is saying that it allowed you to be in the moment right here, right now. And that's what we are trying to break free from is the anxiety of what we've been through. We're either in the past or we're in the future. We're never in the right now, right here, right now. And it just shows, like you were saying, it was teaching you in a sense, it was helping you to be in the right here, right now, so that you can take that outside of that moment. And that is so profound.
Exactly. Especially, you know, when you've been living in the past or the future your whole life, uh,
Hmm.
actually being in the present for the first time feels like such a radically profound transition, because it is. And once you're there, you recognize how good it is to be in that mind state of just worrying about what you need to worry about in that time, and not, you know, overthinking stuff, not putting too much weight on the what could be's or what ifs, and just, you know, going with life, living in the moment and going with the flow.
I will say that marijuana does the same thing.
Mm,
I had a similar experience with marijuana. I had a gummy that turned out to be a little too much.
mm,
And it was a New Year's party I had. I had everybody at my house, and I'm watching everybody just, there's music playing. I have my brothers here. I have just everybody hanging out, having a grand time. And I just sat here at the table and I just started bawling.
mm.
And my best friend's looking and she goes, "Why are you crying?" And I'm just like, because it's just so beautiful. I have my house is full of happiness and full of everybody just having a good time and being with each other. And like I'm seeing them going, they're happy tears, they're not sad tears. And I had to explain that because nobody expects us to have happy tears anymore. It's always sad tears or angry tears. And so I was just like, it's such a beautiful thing. And she's like, you're just really high right now, honey. And I was like, but it's really beautiful. Like, I
Yeah.
got to see that from a different point of view and not my, oh my God, my house is getting destroyed. Like, it's not a point of view. It was everybody's having a grand time. And so I can say I had that experience with marijuana too.
And something that you hit on there is huge to understand, right? Is because what you're experiencing there was an immense amount of gratitude that the people
Yes.
in your life are there enjoying themselves and that you're able to create this experience. And when we're filled with gratitude, it's such a powerful emotion, because it means that we've been in the present enough to appreciate how incredible it is that we're experiencing what we're experiencing right then. And I've found, that my deepest moments of manifestation happen in moments of deep gratitude. And so when you do feel that, it's important to really just sit with the emotion and recognize how good it is, recognize how grateful you are for what you've been given that's eliciting that emotion, and then use that as a springboard towards what you want to create next in your life. I found that, and I was just sharing with my nephew who's visiting from New Jersey right now. He and his girlfriend are here, and I was just sharing with him the story of how my wife and I came together. And when I published my book, I was given an opportunity to speak at an event here in St. Petersburg, called Canadelic, and I got home from that event and was just experiencing so much gratitude, because my life had done such a 180 from a year and a half prior, where I went from somebody who was blacking out on a weekly basis and doing coke pretty much every day, to somebody who was running triathlons and inspiring others and writing books and started my own company and yada yada yada. And I got back from this event where I had my first ever speaking engagement, and had so many friends show up to give their support, and had this immense amount of gratitude pouring out of me. And in that moment where I'm feeling this gratitude, I get a text from a girl that I'd met at the event at 11:11, and
Oh,
11:11
oh,
is
those are the numbers. Those are mine and my husband's numbers, 1111.
well, and so I get that text from her at 11:11, and I say to God, the universe, whatever name you want to use, uh,
Yeah.
I don't think it's this girl, but I know what my partner is going to look like. I know what she's going to make me feel like. I know how we're going to support each other. I know how we're going to love each other. And I just listed all those characteristics in my mind and gave that to the universe and said, okay, bring her to me. And so every 11:11 from then for the next month and a half, I didn't even need to say what I was looking for. I just said, I told you, bring her to me, bring her to me. And a month and a half later, my wife came into my life, and we if we're not together, we text each other on 11:11 every day. We had a party on Saturday night, and all of our friends thought it was so adorable that she came running from one side of the house to over to me to kiss me at 11:11. And it's something that we always just hold true together. But it's just a reminder of how important it is to sit with that gratitude and uh, recognize the gratitude for the incredible things that come into your life, and use that as a jumping point for what you want next.
It's so cute. You're gonna make me cry. That was just adorable.
It is that, we love a good love story over here and looking through the glass, and that sounds like that it was literally you lining up, like all that time you were spending aligning yourself is with manifestation with me. For as far as my own experiences, it's more of you got to align yourself with it and it will come to you. And the gratitude is definitely the place that's the center. That's the center of it all.
Absolutely. And if you guys want, I can tell you the story of how we met because it's really fun.
Yeah,
Go
please
for it.
do.
Yeah.
Like I
All
said,
right.
we love
Cool.
a good love story here.
All right. Um, so that event happened in July of 2024. We met on September 7th of 2024. Now I'm going to rewind back to February 11th, 2024. And at that time, I had been working a job that I knew wasn't right for me. I was selling the services of a physician to personal injury attorneys, and selling to attorneys all day is as soul sucking as I'm sure it sounds. I went out to play pickleball with one of my friends who we had a regular pickleball routine, and uh, he could recognize that my mind wasn't on the game. I just felt so detached from what I was doing. I felt like, I had had this profound experience with psilocybin at this time, a year and a half prior, and recognized that I wanted to do something to make an impact for people, something where I felt really good about what I was doing. And I thought this job was going to be it because I was going to be helping people get more money when they got hurt. But this day I realized
About
that it
not
wasn't.
being.
And so he's like, you just want to go get dinner instead. So we leave pickleball and we go get dinner and we talk. And um, we leave that and I'm biking home. And as I'm about to turn into my parking deck, I get a message. And the message says, your night's not done. You have to stay out. And so I'm kind of like, okay, interesting. But I turn right and I go towards the St. Pete Pier, which jettisons out into the water. And again, this is February. It's dark. It's probably 9 o'clock at night. It's cold, but I bike all the way to the end of the pier, and I'm biking. And I get down to the end of the pier, and there's nobody there because it's freezing cold, which is super rare. The pier is always packed. And uh, I put my head on the railing at the end of the pier, and I just start crying because there's just so much aggravation, that I thought that I was following this path that was right for me. I thought I was doing something that would help me make an impact for people. And I just recognized that it's not it. And so I'm crying and just so much emotion pouring out of me. And so I catch my breath and I lay down on the grass at the end of the St. Pete Pier and I look up at the stars. And as I'm doing so, I connect with God for the first time in my life. Well, the first time since I was 12 years old. Um, and I'm told, dude, I've sent you intuition your whole life and you've chosen not to listen. Are you ready to start listening? And I said, yes, absolutely. No matter what it is, just show me the way and I'm there. And he goes, okay, well, you know what you need to do with your job. And so I quit my job 2 days later. I got my personal training certification. I started classes to coach people on how to use mushrooms safely and effectively. And so it started this, transition of kind of taking my life into my own hands and going in that direction. And so it was like moment after moment that I would receive messages from God. One told me to go to a coffee shop one day where I ended up meeting a gym owner who invited me to use his space to train clients, who then invited me to an event that he had at the gym where I met two of my best friends, who then invited me to do a triathlon with them, and then invited me to this meeting where I ended up meeting the founder of Psychedelics, who invited me to speak at the event. And then I got this girl's number and 1111. And so speed forward a month and a half, and I'm 2 hours north in Ocala. I wake up at 5 a.m. to go out to this fitness competition that I do. I thought I made the world championships, ended up not making the world championships, but I'm excited from that. And I'm on my way home, 2 hour drive. And I text my friend group that I had in St. Pete, friends that I had from the moment that I moved down here, who are still part of the old John's lifestyle, going out, drinking, trying to find girls, so on and so forth. And so I text that group chat. I'm like, hey guys, just made the world championships. Who wants to meet for lunch? As soon as I send the text, I get, they're not even going to respond. Reach out to your new friends. So I reached out to a new group chat that I made while I was driving home. And 3 of them met me for lunch. One that couldn't meet for lunch goes, well, I can't meet for lunch, but I'm going to this party later if anyone wants to go. I respond, I'm going to go, but I'm exhausted from this competition and waking up early and driving and so on and so forth. I'm going to take a nap. I'll probably be there at like 6 o'clock. So I get home and I lay down to nap at about 2. And I'm laying down, and I haven't had caffeine in me for a while. There's nothing that should be keeping me up, but my mind just keeps going, and I just keep getting the message, you're not allowed to nap, just get up and go to the party. And after about 30 minutes, I get up and I look at my phone and I'm like, okay, it's 2:30. I can still nap for 2 hours, wake up, take a cold shower, eat something, and then drive the 20 minutes over the party and get there at 6 o'clock. I'm going to lay down and nap because I'm tired and I need to nap. And so I lay back down to nap. And as soon as I lay back down for the second time, I get, "You're not fucking listening. Get up and go to the party now."
I love it when they cuss at you.
I sit up in bed, literally like on my knees in bed, like, what the fuck is going on? But I get up, I take a cold shower, I get my ass over to the party at 4 o'clock, and 2 minutes after I walk in, "Hey, I'm playing music for the party. I don't want to interrupt everyone. Can you help me bring in equipment for my car?" "Yeah, sure thing."
That's so beautiful. I
That's
had
awesome.
goosebumps all over me. That is so beautiful. I
Yeah.
love it when they cuss at you. I love it when they cuss at you because it throws you off enough to go, what the hell?
All right, I guess I gotta listen. It's time to get up out of bed.
Yeah.
Can't
They're
hide
like,
it
I'm
anymore.
done talking.
Yeah,
That's so
That
awesome.
I
it was
have
so
to say there's so much more to that story than just the beautiful love story that it really is. There's so much more entailed in that story that we don't want to skip over. I cannot allow for us to skip over. And that was your obedience, your surrender, and your profound, like the profound obedience and surrender that you have. And me personally, I understand the guidance part, the messages, because I was literally got messages on how to quit using drugs, on
Mm,
how to quit using methamphetamines. I literally got the messages. Okay, I need you to go this many days without it. And da, 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 da. And it was like just stupid things. And if I didn't listen to those things, I would. I don't. I honestly do not feel that I would be here. Those were actually messages from the universe, from God, from the Creator, whatever you want to call it. It is the same. We're
mm.
getting the same messages, and like you were told, I've given you intuition your entire life, and how come you've never listened to it? You know, like those things I really want our listeners to not overlook or just not take part of, because that is so important. Like when you surrender and you just go, okay, I'm done. What do I do? Like those messages. And don't a lot of people go, oh well, your guides or whatever won't cuss at you. Yes they will. Yes they will. If that's what you
Oh, yeah.
need to hear, then that's what you need to hear. They know you.
Yep. Yep. How do you receive messages? For me, it isn't, "Oh, come on, you can do it," right? It's, "No, get up out of bed now. Go."
Get the fuck up right now and go. I said. And I'm the same kind of stubborn person. I'm gonna take a nap, and that's that. I'm tired. I do the same, and I have to get the same thing. That's why when you said that, I was like, "What I got to you?"
Sela, I'd love to hear about your recovery from meth. I have my best friend is also a recovering meth addict, and I know that that's not easy. The statistics on people who are able to successfully transition from that are not in your favor. So that takes an incredible amount of strength and something that you must be super proud of.
Thank you so much. I got goosebumps. You give like you. I got goosebumps from that. Thank you. I really I talk about it a lot. There was some supernatural kind of things that happened with me. I actually just gave my testimony to somebody else that we work with on the mental health past network that we work with. I just gave my story, and it takes a little bit of a supernatural, what people don't really want to see. But my story is, there are miracles. Miracles do happen. Like
Hmm.
the power of prayer and just trust. It really, really, I know it may not come in the time that you think it will, and it may not come right when you want it to, but it'll come right when it's supposed to. And that is like the deepest part. I spent 10 years. So, I had a traumatic brain injury. I was addicted on and off from meth from the time I was 12 years old.
Wow.
Um, Yeah. That was the first drug that I ever tried. So when people say that weed is a gateway drug, no, that is not the case. As a matter of fact, weed has saved my life. And is one of the reasons why I'm able to be off of methamphetamines, because when I hit my head, it should have killed me. I waited 3 days before going to the doctors because I didn't believe in doctors, and I was still in this addict behavior. You completely understand that addict behavior and fear mindset. And so I was having complete blackouts. I was having pre-mal seizures, and we didn't know. And
Mm,
then I was suffered from an extreme PTSD when I hit my head, um, because the undiagnosed amount of PTSD I had was in a very bad domestic relationship. Giselle grew up watching it, and got a grunt of things too. But because of the PTSD, I thought I had worked on it, but I didn't realize how many years and how much knowledge it really did take to actually work on those kinds of things.
yeah.
But it really put the PTSD, when I hit my head, it put PTSD on steroids, and I would literally have blackout seizures where it was the equivalence of a Vietnam vet, or of a vet having combative flashbacks. That's
Mm,
what literally I would go into. Um, but every time I tried quitting, I would start having seizures because I messed with my brain's chemistry. As I was trying to cover up symptoms of my seizures, I was in a newly relationship, which is he is my husband now, but we were still kind of like within the first year of our relationship, so I was still trying to show up, you know,
hmm
show my best game face, because this is, there's a love story behind my husband and I too. but but it so because I used it when I stopped, uh, that sorry, when I stopped, I would start to have seizures, and then they would ramp up to over 90 a week. And if you do the math, that is literally over one an hour. I could not feed myself. I could not get out of bed most days. I was either asleep, or I was in PTSD blackouts, or I was seizing up and acting like a freaking 2-year old singing the Cat in the Hat rainbow song. But it was the one thing that helped get me out. These were trauma responses that my brain could no longer, because I was in such a survival mode for so
Yeah.
long.
Wow.
And that's
I
why psychedelics really, really interest me, is because, like, I know that there's so much trauma involved in my life that, like, one setting isn't going to get it all out. But sitting with God is where is got me. And I just kept praying every time I got high. I just prayed, God, meet me, meet me halfway. I will, I promise you, meet me to this point, and just make it to where the seizures are, I can handle them. And I promise you, I will do the rest. And I literally spent 10 years praying and doing the work before eventually I got the message, this is your last time.
wow.
And I quit. But there was a bathtub supernatural experience that almost seemed as though I was like a possession, like it was almost like I had a exorcism that happened in my bathtub 2 weeks prior to me being able to quit like that.
Wow.
It was very, 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 very not your typical, but yeah, it I always say God and jelly roll, because there was a situation that happened. My husband and I were really looking at splitting up, and I had went away for about 2 weeks, and I was driving home, and I still wasn't ready to come home. Like, I still wasn't ready to, like, face him, and and I was just praying, and I spent that 2 weeks getting higher than a kite. Like, I was so high those 2 weeks, but I still spent those 2 weeks in prayer. It's like it didn't matter. I was in constant prayer. But on the way home, I was listening to Jelly Roll, and his songs literally just spoke to me.
Mm.
He said the things that were literally going through my mind and the things that I was experiencing. And I heard, you got to tell everybody. You got to let all your skeletons out of the closet. You got to tell everybody. And I said, fuck you. I said, no, I didn't spend all these years hiding it to come out and tell everybody because that's just going to be used against me. I was using my prior experiences in that fear based mind to try to excuse my way out of it. And I just got told, do you want this? And it was, you are to come out and tell everybody, and you're to start a podcast.
Incredible, that transition, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
From
And I
nobody's seen
came,
my wounds to, hey, here they are. Say what you want.
yeah. Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
been telling
exactly.
her for years.
Yeah, she has. And so first thing I did was I came home and I talked to she already knew that I was using, like there was times that I couldn't go get it because I was having so many seizures that she would have to go get it for me because it was literally at any given point in time, it wasn't epilepsy, but it's still a seizure. And I could experience a stroke, I could experience an
Mhm.
aneurysm, I can experience anything. And I wouldn't have just one type of seizure because when I hit my head, I hit the very top of my head. And concussions are calculated based on the amount of vibration and how much it goes to how many parts of your brain.
Mm,
And I hit my head on a hollow handrail that reverb. So that reverb went straight into the very top of my brain and it went through it all.
mm.
And it was an immediate PTSD response. Like I immediately went into a PTSD response because everybody was looking at me because they heard that reverb, but I didn't hear it. And I was like, oh, everybody's looking at me. Oh no. And I immediately, like, now looking back at it, I can see, but hindsight is typically 2020, you
It
know.
always is. Yeah, I really got chills when you said you fell and hit your head because I had a conversation with one of my friends probably about an hour and a half ago, where his brother fell and hit his head last week, and he's no longer with us.
Oh,
And so it's
oh my God.
insane how fragile life can be. And I'm sure that you've counted your blessings a million times that you're still here and able to share the story, but it just really, really highlights it.
Yeah, the traumatic brain injuries are nothing to mess around with, and I messed around with, and I can literally say I hit my head more times afterwards because I have horses, and there has been, ish things, and I've hit my head where the doctor said if I were to hit my head ever again, it would be at the end for me, and like they were shocked that I was even alive at that point in time because I was just literally the blackouts and stuff. And I remember them, I kept telling them, to me, I'm fine. To me, I'm fine. The doctor had to look at me because I'm arguing so much. Because I'm like, they're telling me I can't drive. They're telling me I can't do this. They're telling me I can't do that. And I'm like, to me, I'm fine. And the doctor looked at me and goes, to you, doesn't matter. We're not asking what you think. I was just like, how dare you? What you think doesn't count right now. What everybody else sees counts. And I remember that just being like such a whoa, sit back moment because it was like, why can't I trust what I'm seeing? But you
Are you
really
still
can.
having seizures?
Yes, I still do. That's why I was saying like I had a gummy because I have shivers. Um, my body, I'm still in therapy to try to teach and learn my body brain connection here. I am a survivor suicide attempts of multiple times because my body would be in fight or flight mode and get my mind running. And like, I didn't know those things. I didn't know how it would work. And then it would like just dehydration or just not eating and eating well enough, like would
Hmm.
put my body in a fight. My body wants to stay in a fight or flight mode. So it's something that I'm working on now.
Yeah. So one thing that I kind of want to touch base uh, on that is that so for me, one of the big transitions from that period where I was at that like first Canadelic to where I am now is that my fitness has really ramped up to an extreme level. And my use of
I'm sorry, I
psychedelics.
believe in synchronicities, and there was a ding there.
Yeah, let me
Like
make
you
sure.
couldn't get more ding on that. Sorry.
um, yeah, so I had I started using psychedelics more regularly and started to notice how incredible they are for helping you learn your body and be comfortable in your
Mm,
body and understand that the way your body moves and feels and reacts to certain things. And so the awareness that I've gained uh, of just, simply, I'll use this example. Up until the point that I found psilocybin, I was a power lifter. I would go to the gym, 6, 7 days a week, and I had one mission, and that was to lift as heavy weights as possible. Once I found psilocybin, I, kind of felt my body and said, "Oh my God, my body is so tight and rigid. My hips are stiff. My shoulders are slumped. Like, I feel like I can't really do stuff athletically that I would like to do." And I started to, get really big into yoga, stretching, biking, walking places, just being more generally active and feeling my body more than focusing on just how heavy of weights can I move. And so that was a really big transition period. And through that, one thing that I recognized was that walking, I was putting all the pressure on my heels as I walked. And so that was sending shockwaves up through my knees, my hips, my back, my shoulders. And so I started to recognize that if I landed in the center of my foot as opposed to the heel, that a lot of that pressure on, the rest of the posterior chain would go away. And so like that was a small change that I was able to make just by being more aware of the way that my body moved. So that's one thing that I would say that I've also gotten that out of taking THC gummies. So maybe it's something where you could use those as well. But the psilocybin and LSD especially really puts me in touch with my body in such an intimate way that's allowed me to do the races that I do and not really feel like I'm at a risk for injury and stuff like that. It's really beautiful.
I appreciate you telling me that. You know, because when I walk, I do heel toe, heel toe, heel toe,
Mhm.
and if we get messages where that when we're supposed to get them, people. Like, we cannot make this stuff up. We even got the ding. That was a message for me, Sela. Walk like this a little bit different. And because it is those small little changes that can lead to profound differences.
Mhm.
And that's what, you people can't overlook. Like for me, for a person that's dealing with seizures and stuff, like I'm trying to figure out how to be able to, because I've been able to slow it down, but I was watching myself gain. And I'm like, I'm doing therapy, this and that, but I wasn't able to be active because I had an EEG done. And right afterwards, your body is once you get into seizures, and I had the medication taken away, the medication that I had been on for 8 years, that because my seizures are not epilepsy, so I can't medicate them. That's where THC helps me tremendously. But yeah, no, that was a message for me all the way. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that.
Of course, happy to share, and yeah, uh, I like to highlight that because like, people like to think about the psychedelic use as like, going off into a different dimension and receiving messages and then coming back. And it's really, it doesn't have to be that profound. It can be just as simple as going for a walk and analyzing how you walk.
Yeah, and
You're right.
it really is. Those small little tiny things that you can get, like, because I've known with my own healing, like, people may not believe it, but this little thing with crystals and metals in it and stuff, my mom was like, because I'm sensitive to the EMFs and stuff due to the head injury. My mom's like, well, let's just try it. Sent to me. I'm like, okay. and I try it, and when I might get the brain fog and it starts to really get to me, I sit there and I play with this for about 2 minutes, and then the brain fog starts lifting off of me. Like the things that we don't fully comprehend, or the things that we were blowing off for their abilities and their healing abilities, or their abilities to change the way our bodies work, is so, like, it's not out there enough. It really
Hmm.
isn't out there enough.
And that's one big thing, I learned uh, during this whole experience, is that there's so many things that I poo-pooed as, being woo-woo or not being science-based or whatever, that people believe in very strongly, and there's so much credence to those things, because to believe that, what we see in the physical world is all that there truly is so naive. It's unbelievable. And
Right?
until you experience it for yourself and really get a grasp of just how much more there is, it's something that you're kind of blind to. But once you peel back that veil and say, oh wait, no, the world is much more than we're able to comprehend, it really opens up that question of, okay, how much more is there really? And
Not,
maybe we'll find out one
yeah,
day, maybe
it,
we won't, but there's no reason
you
to
know,
discuss anything.
yeah, it's, you cannot go just only fall unto your, like, you can't only just trust your understanding. Like, your human understanding is not capable of comprehending the complexities of what's going on. Like,
Hmm.
you know, I'm
Well,
sorry, I don't mean to say that in, like, in a mean way, but it's an honest way. Is we can't lean into only our understanding. There's so much more.
No, of course not. Of course not.
I want to say that one of the big reasons why we don't have, or a lot of people don't have an understanding, is they have a blockage. This is a blockage.
Hmm.
And I know that from experience. That was my addiction. It still is something that I'm recovering from, because that was my blockage.
Roselle's in
It,
recovery. She just hit over her year, so she's in recovery as well.
Congratulations, Giselle.
Thank you. Um, I definitely want to say that when you're so hyper focused into technology and everything, that it has a tendency of blocking you from understanding even the simplest parts of the world, because there are things that we can understand, such as going out into nature and sitting there and just feeling the vibrations and the energy within the trees and the nature itself.
Hmm.
You just have to spend 10 minutes just in silence of it and just letting close your eyes and just sit with it.
Yeah.
That's what I fall asleep to. Like, I have a little sleep app that's the noises. It's fire, thunder, and birds chirping. Or the little critters out there, because we're in Texas, and they have that specific frog sound out there. But
Nice.
that's that's what I fall asleep to, because it helps me center myself. That is
Hmm.
nature centering me, because I need to be centered. But people don't know how to do that anymore. They don't know how to go outside and enjoy the sun or the trees. And I feel like that's at least gives us the basic understanding of what this world really is and what it's.
Yeah. And it's important to remember that we are animals. I mean, human
Yes.
beings are highly sophisticated, and we've found a way to communicate, manipulate our environments, and pass on ideas and things like this. But at the end of the day, we are. I mean, I like to think of us as giant ants, right? Like, if you
I
think
was
about
just thinking we're just like ants.
what we do on a daily basis, right, is that half the world gets up, they go in a car, they go to their giant hive, right, their office, they work, they work, they work, they produce, they produce, they produce, they come home, they rest, they wake up, they go, they produce. We're just giant ants that have gotten really
Mhm.
good at communicating, producing, advancing, so on and so forth. But with that in mind, what do all animals need, right? All animals need sunlight, they need socialization, we need water, we need good quality food, and so it's just so important. Like, if something's not going right in life, to go back to those fundamentals and ask yourself, okay, am I getting enough time outside in nature and sunlight? Am I getting enough, water, whether that's drinking it or just time by near water, because it's super refreshing and polarizing. Am I getting enough good quality food? Is the food that I'm putting in my body natural and from the planet, or is it something that has been made in a lab to be addictive and stick to my ribs, right? And then the last thing is socialization. Am I getting enough time in with other people to recognize the humanity and the good in others? Because one of the biggest things with technology is that it makes other people out to be so different than they are, right? Like the person that you see on social media is not the person that exists in real life, because you're only getting the highlights of whoever that person is. And so it's so important to recognize that these people that you see, like, I mean, even me, people who follow me online see me doing, crazy challenges and putting myself through stuff, and they see all this, like, you know, mental toughness and go get it attitude and stuff like that. But there's days that I struggle. There's days that I don't want to get out of bed. There's days that my wife and I aren't on the same page and stuff like that. But they only see the beautiful, loving relationship that we allow ourselves to put online. And so who you see online, the things that you see online, the division that we see online, the hate that you see online, generally doesn't exist in people in real life. And by being out and being a part of a community and socializing and stuff, it kind of tears down a lot of those walls and a lot of the prejudices that we put on other people, and says, no, we're all just human beings trying to figure this out. Let's be better to each other.
Completely agree with you on that aspect right
Yeah.
there. Like you put it so well. So we did not touch on the name of your book and where people can get your book and where they can follow you on your socials. I'm sure that we've got quite a few people interested in you now. So
Quick question: when's this going to be released?
Uh, Probably at the end of this month.
Okay, cool. Because I've got a race coming up on Saturday that I would advocate for people to follow along with me. I'm going to be doing my best to live stream it this coming Saturday, at least post stories and stuff like that and keep people updated. It's a treadmill race where I have to complete 5 miles every hour until I drop. So my goal is to win the race. Last year, the winner did 21 hours. So that's 105 miles.
yeah,
And so, we're gonna see, we're gonna see how long we can go. Um,
you I'm sorry, go ahead. Finish.
yeah. Well, just saying that, so this is gonna come out after that. So, apologize to the listeners, but you can hop on Instagram at Johnny B and check out to see how I did in that, because I'm sure I'll be posting all about it. But that's the best way to keep in contact with me is my Instagram at Johnny B. You can find my book on Amazon. It's also available on Kindle, Audible, and Apple Books, available as an audiobook. The name is Your Mindset is Your Reality. It's a purple cover that I'm going to go grab right now so I can show that off.
I like how they always have to go fetch the book.
Yeah, I always make them go fetch it. Sorry. That is a very me thing. I make them go fetch it, every time.
And then if anyone's interested in, one-on-one coaching, personal training, my fitness website is called getpsychedfitness.com. GET Psyched, PSYCHED, fitness, FITNESS.com. So you can reach out to me on there.
Well, we'll most definitely make sure we put that in the notes on the podcast and stuff like that too.
Appreciate you,
Yes,
Sela.
we will
Absolutely.
definitely do
Yeah, we definitely I would love to do another one with you someday. Like this was just like great. This was so fantastic.
Beautiful. It was
Maybe
great.
after Yeah, maybe after you do a little your marathon, you could come on here. Maybe we'll just talk about it then too, or something. I don't know.
Maybe sometime, maybe in like May, because here's my schedule is that, I have this race coming up in this Saturday. And then I'm putting on my own race in March that I'm super excited about. And I'm actually spending my day to day getting all the marketing materials ready for that. And then April, um, I have a speaking engagement. I'm flying out to Colorado for a conference. I'm completing a Spartan Ultra. So that's a Spartan race that takes place over 31 miles. And there's a couple other things, but I think like every weekend in April, I have something planned already, which is fun. Yeah, and yeah. Two other things that I'm remembering now,
Well, we
but
would absolutely let him to have you on and talk about those and everything. That would be awesome.
hell yeah.
You know,
I
we also go ahead, yourself.
I know that there's another one that there's it's not it is a race, but it's a suicide awareness race that we had somebody come on and talk about that's happening in North Carolina or South Carolina.
North Carolina. His name is Michael Johnson, and he's for suicide awareness. He's doing the suicide awareness walk. So like maybe if you, since you like to do the things like that, he's dedicating each walk, or each mile to a person who
Who has
has,
lost their life to suicide.
yeah, who
Um,
has lost the battle to suicide. And yeah, that's exactly where I was going. Yeah, Giselle was him. That's exactly where I was going.
I have a friend that's very much into marathons. He does a lot of running and he's constantly posting his achievements. So I like that, it's becoming a very common thing.
Most definitely, and it's such an avenue uh, for people to show their strength, right? Because running is one of those things, and just moving in general, that it's only limited by your willingness to try. And you know, I mean, yeah, there's going to be some physical limiting factors, right? But for a large amount of the population, doing something like a 100-mile race, which I did, 2 months ago, is something that is attainable given a long enough time frame, right? It's just a matter of putting one foot in front of the other over and over and over again. And so, I love going out and doing those things and achieving, but I really feel like it's something that isn't that crazy. It's not something that should be that monumental for people to say, "Oh my God, you're the dude that did." Yeah, yeah, I am. But like, I feel like anyone can do it. It's just a matter of setting your mind to it and having it as a goal. Um, but that's what makes it amazing, is that, yeah, anyone can do it, right? Like, you guys might be listening to me talk and say, I could never fucking do that, but I guarantee you that if you made it a mission for yourself to do that, you'd find a
If I were
way.
to challenge myself enough, absolutely. I was able to quit doing meth. If I were to challenge myself enough, I could do it.
Exactly.
Like, I would figure
I
out
feel
a way. I know me. Like, I know me. Seizures and all, I would figure out a way. You know?
I love that
I
attitude.
very much I love the call out though. I love that you us telling ourselves, yeah, I ain't gonna fucking be able to do
Yeah, there
that.
ain't
But
no
it's like
fucking way.
we I know I can if I push myself hard enough, but it's like, yeah.
Well, hey, maybe start with a 5K and feel what that achievement feels like.
Let me
And
start small.
Yeah,
look
let's
at that.
start small and see how we do there.
You know, half a mile, a mile, whatever seems like something that's beyond what your
You
capabilities
know
are.
what? I'm gonna be straight out. I go, screw this. I walk because of seizures. I walk right in front of my house, literally my front yard. I just go out on the street and I walk back and forth in front of my house. And that's what I do because guess what? I need to do it. Or if
Yeah.
it's the bad enough, I'll do my driveway. If I can't, if I'm having that bad of a day, I'm walking back and forth through my driveway, up to my gate, to my driveway, back to the sidewalk, back and forth. Whatever, whatever I can do.
Hmm.
It's those small little steps that really will lead somewhere.
Yep.
It's that, and that is where it's at.
You're hitting it exactly. I saw an Instagram post the other day. This dude who ran a marathon inside a bathtub. So he was in a bathtub and was just going in a circle the whole time. It took him 7.5 hours, but he completed
But
it.
he did it.
Yeah,
And that is where it's at. It's, being ingenuitive and just going, nope, I'll figure a way. I'll
mhm.
figure it out.
Yeah, because when I was pregnant, I had gestational diabetes, and I didn't want to be on the medication. So the nutritionist was like, walk in the mornings, just walk in the mornings. And she's like, walk in place. That's all you have to do. Walk in place at night and in the mornings, and it should help. And I would literally stand there, watch it, like just watching TV and walking in place because I couldn't go out and walk around because I was high risk. So that was where I was limited on it. And so walking in place right there in the house, and then I ended up just spinning in circles because I got really bored in walking in place. And my husband's sitting there laughing at me. I'm like, I'm bored. But I was trying to get the steps in. So it definitely, and that little bit did help with just managing those diabetes for so long, but it helped a lot. And that's when, so we are able to do it anywhere.
There it is. There it is. Speaking into
My,
existence, baby.
y-
But by the next
yeah.
time we talk, I want to hear that you both did at least a 5K. All right.
I,
I might
I
be
don't
able
know
to
if
get
I'm gonna be
myself
able to
there
do it
sooner.
that fast. I don't know if I can be able to do it that fast, but yeah, no, definitely, you put a challenge in front of me.
Well, gauntlet thrown.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, this
All
was
right.
amazing. I really
It's
This was
appreciate you
great.
coming on.
it's been a pleasure.
And
And
for our listeners, if you want to come on, speak your story, give us your experiences, or anything like that, you can email us at 12lookin through thru34theglass@gmail.com. You can reach us on Facebook and TikTok as well. We're working on other platforms. And anything else you want to add?
me or Chris or John, sorry.
A lot of names there.
I
You.
know. I have nothing to add. Sorry, y'all. John, is there anything you
Well,
would like to? All right.
I'm all set, guys.
all right. Thank y'all so much for listening. Thank you, John, for joining us.
Of course. Pleasure, Sayla. Pleasure, Zell.
Yeah.